I always tell people, because they have the mindset is thinking they're a human being, and I have a hard time believing that. People question me, how you know someone's an alien or if they're a human? Well, I'm gonna tell you. An alien is like a person who's cloned. So if you're cloned, you're gonna have the mindset of doing things that's not realistic. So one of the ways you could tell that is just how their life is. Is this child was born created? Were their parents? Did they have any parents? Did they live a life where it was only them? And if they have kids, do they have single parent? If they're a single parent or something like that. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be cloned, because a lot of people, they say, oh, you know what, I don't like being cloned. That's kind of scary. A lot of people are cloned and they don't realize it. One of the ways you could tell is because their perfume. If you ever walk in a room and you smell your perfume, but you feel somebody else, you're probably cloned. They're probably using your descent to clone you. And the reason I know this is because I know all about human cloning. And donors, they're also cloned. They even do cloning. If I wanted to, I could be cloned. I could sit there and use a clone. Not that I will, but it's kind of like having a twin. Look at it this way. When you're cloned, it's like a lot similar to a twin. When you have a person who looks like you, they're going to act like you too. But their blood is different. Is the only difference. With twins, your blood is the same, but you act different even though you look the same. That's the only difference between actual twins and clones. But even twins could be cloned. When you have a child that's twins, they could be cloned. A lot of people don't know this. And I know this from the blood samples. When you work in the hospitals, the hospitals ain't going to tell you some of these things. They'll tell you, well, you did have a baby and it's in birth and it's human. They're not going to tell you the truth because not everybody is a human. So some of them are cloned. And you look at the cells of their blood and they do these kind of tests and they put it in a lab. And that tells that child if they're human or cloned. And the reason I know this because I've had dreams like that. I've had dreams where I had children that were considered to be cloned. Even though I didn't clone it, it's a possibility it was the nurse in the dream who cloned it. And they do this because they tried to tell you this is the generation we're in now. That your child's not human. So when people get mad, oh, is this person an alien human? No, they're not saying it to be mean. It's just this child's gonna have behaviors. If you're having behaviors, you have this mindset, you're confused, you're deaf, you don't understand, you think everybody has something wrong with them, or you don't understand them much and you feel like you just have to be nasty with them, like narcissists, they're not human. Because they're cloned. That's an example. Even narcissists are cloned. That's why they have the mindset of doing things like the robots. When you have a robot or you chipped, you often have nasty attitudes. It's all about yourself. It's what you want, what you do, and that's the kind of mindset a clone person has. They never think about others. They don't try to help people. They barely have a heart because they cannot have a heart. Kind of like what lines up with a narcissist is the same thing that lines up with cloning. That's why when you talk to someone who's cloned, you can tell them, I love you all you want. And they'll avoid you and think it's you're crazy and stuff. And they'll feel sorry for people at a certain amount of time. But truly in that person's heart, they don't care. And a lot of people, they're not all humans, Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing because there are things that are not humans that are good. It just depends on the situation or how you look at life or you look at the situation or things or that person. How do you present that person? How do they present you? Because these things are all real. They're all spiritual. And if you have a good heart, you're going to be all right. And most people don't have a good heart. So that's why I say you have to be on a kind of careful side when you talk about cloning. Because some clones do not have a good heart. I mean, if that was the case, people wouldn't be scared of dolls so much. But why people are? Because they know robots are not good and they want their children to be healthy and human. If your child can't be healthy and be a human being, then yeah, that's gonna be pretty damn scary, man. But like that's why I mentioned like I talk about these things on life coaching. You could describe to me and if you want to. You don't have to. Or, you put a like if you want to. That's up to you. But I'm just admitting this all to you that these things are real and these are clones. That's what it is. And you look at their tags, it says donors. I'm cloned because I have a proof to prove that. I have my ID actually says donate. So if you could donate and do all these things, then you're considered to be a clone. You see people that take blood. Well, they already have clone. They already donate to the clone. Because they take those things to the lab to give to people who that don't have a healthy body. And that person's usually cloned anyways. Because they're sick and stuff. And that's what happens when you're cloned. But when you're actually human, things do happen, but you don't have a lot of these kind of problems or health issues. When you do, you're considered to be cloned. And that's the thing, because I study these things. I'm not a nurse, but I study these things to know these things. That's why I said we're all not human. You can't believe people. If you're on the machine all day, you on this, you're probably not a human. Because a human knows how to have self-control. A human doesn't act the way they act. They don't act crazy. And they know not to tell people they're doing that without taking fault for anything. Now, humans who are healthy, they do take fault for stuff. They do realize what they got to fix and change. But a person who's cloned, they won't do that often. They blame everybody. They come off with a nasty attitude. And they do stuff that's not real. They almost like a doll that they get scared of. They almost put themselves in that same position where even that doll that they get scared of could comprehend and have a heart sometimes. But of course not when you're an actual human who knows better, supposedly. Just like Barbie. Barbie don't go around act crazy, but you have these humans out here who do. And they should know better. But that's all I gotta share with you all. Stay praying for me. And I'll stay praying for y'all. Jesus loves y'all. Bless.